Hello, and welcome to the Inspiring Moments with Kaylin radio show. I am your host, Kaylin John Louis, and I am so excited to be on the air with you all today. Thank you so much to everyone who is tuning in right now, joining and listening. I am so grateful for your support and just simply for you coming on every week to listen to these conversations because I truly believe it is a very important thing that we talk about stuff going on in the community. And without you all support and just being here with me, I don't believe that I'd be able to keep coming on. It really motivates me, and I really feel like it drives me to continue using my voice to empower others. But I encourage you right now to download the Hallelujah 95.3 app so that you can listen to this show on the go on your electronic devices, just in case you don't catch it on the radio. And I want you to also tag someone that you know and have them tune into today's upcoming discussion because I truly believe it is something that we need to talk about. Now, I know I always say these are heavy hitter topics. I love to talk about stuff that's going in the community. But one thing that I will consistently do on this show is highlight others in the community, especially other youth who are doing great things to make sure that people are understanding key things going on with us today. When I say key things, whether that means talking about what's going on in our legislature or talking about what's going on in college school life, but specifically today, more about mental health. For those who knew, June was Men's Mental Health Month. However, I personally believe we need to take care of our mental health all the time. We need to make sure that we are okay and we're doing all we can to make sure that we take care of each other. Mental health is something that affects a lot of people, and it's not just saying, oh, I'm having a bad day or I'm not okay. Sometimes people deal with periods and times where they simply do not feel like themselves, or they go through intense periods, especially youth. And I think so much we talk about adults and adults going through those things, but people don't realize that the summertime is a big thing. Like I said, mental health is a crucial topic, and research shows that there are periods of transition like summer break that can have a significant impact on mental health. During the school year, whether they're students in high school, middle school, elementary, or college, they go through a time or they have a structured routine and regular social interactions, and it gives them a sense of stability and community. But when we get to summer break, this routine is often disrupted. It can cause feelings of isolation, anxiety, uncertainty, and particularly for those who rely on school for social interactions and support, it can be a lot mentally and draining to go from being in that place to going back home and living your everyday life there for that period of time during summer break. And so today I have a very special guest with me that is a rising high school senior and the creator of a youth led mental health podcast called Each Voice. And we're going to be discussing youth mental wellness. Why? Because it's important and affects us right now. More in our conversation, we'll discuss more about her podcast, the importance of mental health, especially for youth, and how we can all support each other. Now, my guest's name is Haasini Yelugoti, and she is a rising senior living in Florida who's passionate about mental health advocacy. She is the host of the Each Voice podcast, like I stated earlier, and her podcast focuses on uplifting voices in mental health and psychology. She is also the founder of Protea Teens, a youth-run mental health organization aiming to increase mental health resources in high schools. Talk about excellence and girl power. I am so excited to have her on the show today. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for that introduction. I'm so excited to be here.
Of course, thank you so much for agreeing to be on, y'all. She actually reached out to me via social media on LinkedIn, and we were able to connect. And I love being able to connect with people locally, especially
Mhm.
youth, because I feel like a lot of times, people in our generation or people older than us may not always assume that we're doing things to affect change. And I consistently see from my friends to even my peers and youth around me that we are passionate about the things that affect us right now. So, speaking of our passions and things we're doing, can you tell the audience a little bit more about yourself and how you started your podcast called Each Voice?
Yeah, so as Kaylin said, my name is Haasini and I'm a rising senior in high school. And so my journey with mental health advocacy started in middle school, I think. And it was during the period of quarantine. So I was starting to have more conversations with my friends about mental health, and I was more exposed to the internet during that period of time. And so I kind of just learned more about the kind of mental health crisis that's going on right now in youth. And so I started off by just joining a nonprofit organization that was already kind of doing work to support teenagers suffering from mental health struggles. And then I became more passionate after learning more about things and also just hearing more from my friends. And so as a high schooler, I feel like I see so many people who just casually joke about struggling with mental health, and it's kind of become that culture of just saying things so lightly. And I feel like that really shows how we are right now as a society in terms of just like bad mental wellness. And so all of that kind of motivated me to get more involved with mental health advocacy. And so as for starting my podcast, I wanted to give other people a space to share their stories, as well as for me and those people to kind of give advice to other people and talk about things and create conversations that are necessary and are important in today's society.
I'm really glad that you created that because I think everybody can say that COVID was one of the things that opened everybody's eyes a lot more. I
Yeah.
say a lot of times that I think our generation is the most open to expressing how we feel mentally. When you look at the margins of where each generation is concerning their wellness and their knowledge on mental health, when I talk to people older than me, a lot of times they just said people were unwell or they
Yeah.
were struggling with, they would just, a lot of people weren't taught to deal with their mental health. There's a lot of older adults who have been dealing with mental trauma, don't even know what it is, and it's either been passed on to their children, or there's been a lot of situations in life where they're learning that it's okay to take a moment to breathe. That there's going to be times where you're just not 100% okay. I think when we saw all the things, like you said, on social media that were happening with people getting COVID, and like you said, even in high school, I have a lot of friends that I've grown up with, and I have to tell myself and even my friends, like, yeah, let's not joke about what's going on in our mind. Let's talk to somebody about that, because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, you can't function well and do things well if your mind is under attack. If you're not able to get yourself together, if you're not able to get out of bed some days, or you're dealing with those emotions on the inside and you don't let them out or talk to someone about it, it can seriously impact you. So the fact that you even started your own platform to do that is huge in you, because there's not a lot of people who are doing that, who have branched out and say, I see this issue and I want to help make a difference in my own way. So kudos to you. But what specifically, was there anything that happened to you with your friends, or just anything that made you really say, okay, was there a specific event that really made you say, okay, mental health, we need to talk about this now? Or even how you are interested in psychology. What was something that made you say, this needs to be something that I need to do?
Yeah, so I think just like entering high school, I entered high school right after the year where we were doing online school. So I literally started high school and entered high school after just doing a year of completely online school. So that was like, it was a year where I kind of got to meet a lot of my friends again and see them again after a couple of years. And so I just after talking to my friends, I realized like a lot of them had been struggling throughout quarantine and a lot of them had no one to talk about it with. And so I think almost all of my friends, they had something going on that was so serious and they would not tell anybody about it besides just us. And it was really like it made me feel like I had to do something about it. And I think anybody in that position would feel like, there has to be something that changes, because when you see so many people that you love and that you care about experiencing such difficult things and not having any resources or anyone to talk about it with, it makes you feel like, it makes you really wonder like what's going on in the world because I think during quarantine, my friends were like, or not just my friends, everyone was kind of just trapped and they had their phones and social media and they were just like kind of locked in their houses and had access to all online platforms. And that really can take a toll on your mind. And it's taking a toll on people right now, too. It wasn't just during quarantine, but I think that just seeing so many people struggling definitely motivated me to kind of try to do something to help. And, I don't think advocacy is like you have to do anything big, like starting a podcast or starting an organization. It kind of just started out by like trying to have these conversations with my friends, and also, trying to get small things done, right? So like
Right.
I tried to just first talk to my friends, then I tried to find some resources for them, and then I tried to kind of make some change at my school when it came to these kinds of things. And so it really just kind of started, and as I kind of did more, I realized I was more passionate about mental health and about these things. And so, as for my interest in psychology, I think that came from a young age. Like, I've always been interested in psychology, but after taking some courses in high school, I I think that really kind of channeled and like developed my interest for it. Um, and so I also think that just being involved in mental health, I learned more about psychology topics. Like when I was looking at different disorders and different illnesses that people were struggling with, I kind of came to learn more about psychology and also just about the brain and how all of that affected these conditions that people had. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I really like that point because I don't think people really realize the power that our friends hold,
Mhm.
the power that they have in lighting up our times. I think the biggest thing for me, even in high school and even going into college, my core circle of friends have definitely been the people that when I go through hard times or where I'm struggling mentally, that was our safe space. And I think a lot of times people don't realize, even with youth, especially our generation, we're a
Yeah.
lot more emotionally aware of how we're feeling, or we're more likely to say, I don't like this made me feel, or you're dealing with things, but we're more vocal of talking
Yeah.
to each other about it. And I think it's very good and important that we talk about mental health, especially from the standpoint of, even if it's like you said, it's small, of talking with your friends or having that conversation. Nobody knows what one conversation could do for somebody mentally. They may feel like they literally have nobody else. They need somebody to talk them off a ledge or keep them from doing something that they may regret. There's so many things. And to the educators who may be listening, or just parents in general, like, I really want you to understand, your children do go through things. They do have moments where things happen. They may not always tell you about them because they're nervous or they don't know how you may react, but there are serious things that they're consuming and seeing on social media, seeing from their friends. When I said in the beginning that summer break can be harder on people more than a relief for people, I was serious, because there's so many students who, yeah, everybody's excited about summer break. We're having fun. But
Mhm.
that was their place where they got to be themselves. They got to see their friends and they got to interact with people where they didn't have to put on a face or a mask. They didn't have to deal with things they may be dealing with at home. Being at school for some people and being around other people uplifts people. And it's something that we definitely have to talk about more in a community and really recognize. And so I encourage you, if you have your child listening, your youth listening, young adult, wherever you are, have conversations about the stuff that you're dealing with and don't let that stay bottled up inside. I'm wondering from you as well, Hasani, what are you thinking? Why do you think it's so important for people to talk about mental health, especially young people? What do you feel like it adds when you're able to vocalize how you're feeling in your mind?
Yeah, so I definitely think that you made an interesting point about how older generations didn't really vocalize what they were feeling while we are like very expressive. And I think that also comes from the fact that we have social media. I think that we have always just kind of had a platform to connect with other people and tell them what we were feeling. And in this day and age, we have so many like mental health campaigns going on where people are normalizing vocalizing our feelings and our emotions. So I feel like as a generation, we are able to express more because of the fact that we all have that, not all, but most of us have that like mutual respect and um kind of allow each other to share things. So I think it is really important because a lot of people kind of write mental health struggles off as like something that should be kept private and something that everyone can just deal with alone, and something that is a weakness. Like a lot of people say that you can't share these things because it's going to make you look bad or it's going to make you look weak. And I feel like it's that's going to make you look real because everyone deals with these things. Models deal with these things, CEOs deal with these things. The most successful people ever still have things like self-doubt and anxiety. And it's so important that we know that these are real because if people are never kind of taught that these emotions can still exist even if you are, achieving your goals, then I feel like people will have it harder because they'll never know if they are quote unquote normal or if they're just weird for struggling and dealing with these emotions. Again, even though they're achieving things. So I think it's really important that we all kind of share that people are not alone in having doubt and worries and periods of sadness. And I think it makes us so much more connected and closer if we are able to allow each other to express and share emotions. So I think it's so important because people are going to be struggling, and it can help if people talk and work it out together.
I agree. Thank you for those points. I do want to say too as well, I think it's also important because a lot of time people talk about generational trauma and
Mhm.
they think that that's just from the heaviest of things, but a lot of youth or a lot of my friends that I talk to, a lot of collegiate students that I talk to, a lot of people in high school that I would talk to or talk to now, a lot of the things they're dealing with, there were things that they never imagined to happen. They are family trauma that happened, unexpected situations that happened in their life, and it completely shifted their mindset. It causes them to have moments where they're just up at night. They can't stop thinking about things, or their mind is constantly pacing. I think for anybody who doesn't get the importance of mental wellness, I don't know if you've seen it, but I went and saw Inside Out 2
Oh,
recently.
yes.
And as much as they make said it's a kids movie, it accurately depicts that joy and anxiety can consist or can
Mhm.
coexist together. And a lot of times people think, oh, well, if my child doesn't tell me directly that I'm feeling this way, or that they're sad, or they just say, I'm fine, or I'm okay, that they're just not, they're putting on that joy and that face, but in reality, they're overthinking everything they said, or they're dealing with that self doubt. Everybody has moments where they deal with the impact of their mental health, even kids who are caregivers, because I'm a caregiver. I know that that can impact your mental health. There's people who may not have grown up with one parent in their household. That's a whole set of trauma that they have to deal with, emotional and mental battle that they have to go through. I think at the end of the day, it's so important to talk about mental health because we're all human and we deal with things. And if we don't sit here and recognize emotional vulnerability as a superpower, then we're going to consistently sit here in a place where we're just looking and saying, oh, well, they'll get over it eventually, or they'll do this. And I really urge people, don't live in denial. If you're dealing with these things, talk to somebody, get help. Make sure that you emphasize what you're dealing with. Now, we talked about mental health, but what are some tips or some advice you would give to your friends or just your fellow peers or just anybody in general who wants to maintain their mental health while being a student, because we both know that once you get involved in a lot of things, you're coming up for your senior year, I'm in college, life brings us a lot of challenges, especially when we're already in school trying to develop ourselves as humans. How do you balance that? What are some ways people can, you know, do things to make sure they're taking care of their mental well-being while also being a person and having fun?
Yeah, so I I always say like it's so important to have balance and it's so important to, take breaks and do self-care, but even for me, like I struggle with that. I struggle with prioritizing things and sometimes I have a hard time finding time for breaks and I deal with burnout very often, and so do so many students and so many other people. So it's very difficult to kind of live in that healthy lifestyle where you're able to balance everything and get your self-care done and feel like you're getting enough sleep, getting good grades, maintaining your social life, and also just like mentally well. So it honestly sometimes it can feel impossible. So there's no like magic formula. I wish there was, but one thing that I've been trying to do is just schedule a lot of meetings or like just like hangouts with my friends because I feel like that for me at least it truly helps me relax and reset and let go. And I feel like if you're at least for me when I'm scheduling things with my friends, I feel accountable. Like I feel like I can't cancel on them. Like I have to go even if I am kind of feeling a bit tired. And obviously I'm not saying never cancel because your mental health still comes first, but it kind of helps keep you accountable when you know that there's someone else kind of counting on you. So, for example, like if you are super busy and you can't get yourself to take a break, like you can't get yourself to go on a walk or maybe like paint your nails or take a bath, then schedule a time with your friend because again, that's going to keep you accountable and that's going to serve as a great time for you to relax and release. So that's something that's helped me personally. And I also think prioritizing sleep is so important. Like, I know that I'm probably not a great person to advocate for this because I don't get enough sleep most of the time throughout the school year. But having such a lack of sleep made me truly realize how important it was because it's basically causing your cognitive functions to not work properly and that's affecting your entire day, it's affecting your mood, it's affecting your performance on school activities, it messes up everything. So I think sleep truly affects your mental health and getting enough sleep will definitely help no matter what. So that's another tip I have, just sleep.
Yeah, no, I agree. Sleep, me and sleep go together real bad. I definitely have had that moment where I recognize the same thing, like, hey, I got to do something different. But some tips I would give youth or even collegiate students like me who are in college and you're balancing, everybody knows I'm a very busy person. I have a stacked schedule all the time, but set times for yourself where you know, okay, this is my me time. At this time, my social battery is done. I don't need to talk to anybody because a lot of times, sometimes people feel so burnt out, like you said,
Mhm.
but because of social
Yeah.
interaction. I'm an extrovert. So sometimes I get to the place where I'm so talkative, I want to talk to people, but then there are also moments where my mind is like, okay, you've done all you could do for the day. You need a moment to recuperate and get yourself together. So know what is good for you. As far as your mental health as well, I would say definitely talk to those who are closest to you. When you find the people that you can trust, hold on to them well. Because my girls literally helped me through so much. There's so many times where I can be in places where I don't understand things or I'm just not okay. And they're going to be there to give me an encouraging word or they're going to help me to get myself out of my head. Sometimes I go through overthinking as well. I have moments where my mind is all over the place and things can feel like there's so much. in my mind, and realistically, once I map it out, I'm okay. But there can be so much going on in a given day when you're in college, when you're in school. So I would definitely tell you to get organized with that. Find what works best for you. For me, to keep myself organized, I use a planner. I use a calendar. It helps my mental health because I'm able to say, okay, if I put it on the calendar and I visually see it, then this is what I know I need to do. And if anything else comes up, I'll find a way to maneuver through. But other than that, there also use your resources. For those who are in high school, middle school, everybody has guidance counselors at their school that they can talk to. You're able to go there and share what you're feeling. For those in college, I know on FAMU campus with us and a lot of different colleges everywhere, they have counseling services where if you need to talk to somebody and you're not able to go straight to a therapist that's locally where you are, you can call and talk to somebody, or you can schedule an appointment to talk to someone who can give you real advice and really be there to listen to you. Because I also know that there's a point where not everybody has people that they can talk to and they struggle idly. So do that. And most importantly, give yourself grace. I think so much we get in our heads so much and we sit there and we wonder, well, everybody else is doing this. I'm not enough, or I'm not in the place where I'm great, or I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. Give yourself grace. Because just like you want to be in this high place and you want to do these great things, it takes time and you're not always going to get there. But most importantly, never be afraid to talk about your mental health. Please be open to making sure you are not just physically well, but mentally well. I stress that so much because it's so important that we take care of our minds. Now, is there any other advice that you would want to give to any youth about mental health, or even just like you said, you saw a need, you saw that it was something that was common and you wanted to talk about it and it ended up being something that you now advocate for? What advice would you give to others who see issues going on in their community and they want to make a difference as well?
Yeah, so I think it's very important to look for things that need to be changed. And I think our generation has done such a good job of just like wanting to change things. And I would probably say that if you want to start off and kind of do something about a problem that you see, reach out to people who have done similar things that you want to do. And I remember when I was first kind of starting out, I was so scared to text people, to email people and ask for their advice, or kind of even like reach out to them to collab. And now I just did it with Kaylin. And um, I feel like they're like so people are so much nicer than you think they will be. So definitely do not hesitate to reach out. And if there's something new that you want to do, literally don't hesitate. I feel like you just do it, come up with a plan, and get people to support you. And I do not doubt that there will be people interested in that as well. And I kind of also just wanted to bring it back to the reason why we're advocating for mental wellness. Like, why are we advocating for mental wellness? And in my opinion, like what keeps me kind of going when I'm doing these things is the fact that we're advocating for people to be able to live their best lives. We are literally just advocating for people to feel healthy and feel strong and secure enough to do what they love and live and be happy and get and be satisfied, at the end of the day. That's what matters. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing those points. To everybody listening, please make sure that if you don't take anything away from this conversation, know that it is so important that you take care of yourself. I feel like everybody should want to live happily and peacefully. And this is one of the steps to get there, which is taking care of your mental wellness and mental well being. So, whatever you do, make sure you take care of yourself. Thank you so much, Haasini, for being on the show. I'm so excited that we've been able to connect, and I look forward to connecting with you more in the future. Can you share ways people can connect with your podcast and listen more?
Yeah, thank you so much as well. Anyone can reach me at each voice on Instagram, and also at Haasini Yelugoti _ for my personal account. But yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you so much. Y'all, please get connected with her. She is someone you want to know. And I'm happy that I am connected. I thank every single person for listening to the show today. I am happy that we were able to have this conversation. And I ask that you connect with me on my social media platforms. Subscribe to the YouTube channel to hear more of these great conversations at KCK Inspiring Moments with Kaylin. I ask that you follow me on Instagram at Kaylin Cares 15. You can follow me on Facebook and LinkedIn at Kaylin's Caring Connection. And by all means, go to the website, which is www.kaylinscaringconnection.com to find out more about the show and all that I do with my nonprofit. And as I wrap up the show, remember that you are loved, you are enough, you matter, and your mental health matters. Don't let anyone tell you any different. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next KCK Inspiring Moments with Kaylin radio show. Until next time, be blessed.